You ever had 3 HOA board members roll up on you like they were busting a meth lab just 'cause you're holding a fishing rod? Yeah, I have. I was that guy. One minute, I'm sipping black coffee on my dock behind my cabin, just soaking in the stillness of Maple Ridge Lake, frogs croaking in the distance, the sun bouncing off the water, and the next. Here comes this golf cart squealing down the gravel path like it's a police cruiser. Out hops this bleach-blonde woman with wraparound sunglasses, tight khakis, and a clipboard like it's a badge. Behind her are two of her minions. One's wearing socks with sandals, the other I recognize from a community meeting where she complained about someone's wind chimes being too whimsical. The leader. Her name was Cheryl Watkins, points at me like I'm holding a grenade instead of a fishing pole. Sir, you are in violation of HOA Code 7B.5, unauthorized recreational angling. I damn near dropped my pole laughing. I thought she was joking, but she wasn't. And that right there was the moment I realized these folks weren't just irritating, they were dangerous in the way only power-drunk volunteers can be. See, I'd lived in that cabin for over a decade. Bought it when Pinebrook Hills was just a sleepy development, before the Starbucks and yoga studios showed up. The lake behind my place had always been part of the deal, not legally. I'd come to learn later, but practically. I fished there every Sunday like church. Coffee in one hand, rod in the other, my dad's old tackle box at my feet. That lake was peace. Ritual, it was mine in all the ways that matter. Until Cheryl and her clipboard brigade came rolling up. Do you have a valid HOA fishing tag? She asked, smug. I blinked. Didn't know I needed one. To fish from my own dock. It's not your dock, she sniffed. That lake is community property now. And we recently passed a resolution to require permits for wildlife protection. Lady, I said, the only wildlife I've seen in this lake are 3 frogs, 2 ducks, and a catfish with a limp. She didn't laugh, just slapped a yellow citation against my chest, $600. Said further violations would lead to legal action. I tried not to burst out laughing, but I couldn't help it. A real, belly-deep, what in the world is happening laugh. That night, I found a bright orange warning stuck to my front door. You'd think I'd been caught distilling moonshine in the woods. It threatened escalating fines, legal action, even suspension of community privileges. I wasn't mad. Not yet. Just curious. The next morning, I saw them, brand new signs staked all around the lake. Fishing prohibited. Violators will be fined. One right next to my dock. Another along the trail where I kept my canoe. That's when I made a call I hadn't made in years. Hey Barry, I said, I need to know who owns that lake. Barry's an old buddy from college, now a real estate lawyer who usually helps me file LLCs and keep my taxes clean. There was a pause. Then, you thinking lawsuit? Nope, I said. I'm thinking checkbook. 3 days later, Barry had an answer, and it changed everything. Turns out, the lake wasn't technically HOA property. Not now, not ever. It had been leased to the original developer decades ago for community use, but the purchase had never been completed. The deed? Still held by some dormant holding company called Elmwood Estates Incorporated, which had quietly gone inactive when the market crashed in the 90s. They think they own it, Barry said. But no one ever filed the papers. It's still up for grabs. My eyes lit up. What would it take to buy it? Well, Barry said, find the successor on record. Make a formal offer. It's going to take some legwork, but it's doable. And with how sloppy the HOA's been, no one's going to see it coming. That's when it stopped being about fishing. It became about principle. These people tried to find me on a power trip. They thought I'd just roll over. What they didn't know was that I had time, money, and a lawyer who owed me a favor from a poker night in '98. 2 weeks later, I was holding the deed to Maple Ridge Lake, shoreline to shoreline, including the 10-foot buffer zone the HOA had installed their stupid kayak rack on. They weren't just wrong. They were trespassing. I didn't say a word. Not at first. I let him keep waving smugly from their golf carts. Meanwhile, I ordered 12 handcrafted wooden signs, real rustic, carved lettering, stained wood, brass caps, private property, no trespassing, Maple Ridge HOA members not welcome. Violators will be prosecuted. By the time the signs went up, just after sunrise, the neighborhood Facebook group had detonated. Photos. Panic. Questions. At 9 a.m. sharp, Cheryl came blazing down in her golf cart. Mascara melting, visor flapping, fury vibrating off her like heat from asphalt. She stormed right past me to the water's edge where one of my new signs towered beside the kayak launch. "This is illegal," she barked. "He doesn't own this." I walked up slow, holding a folder like it was nothing but a few coupons. "I do, Cheryl. Bought it. Stamped. Recorded. Want to see the deed?" Her mouth snapped shut when I opened it. "This isn't public property. It never was. You assumed. You passed rules over something you never owned. And now," I looked around at the stunned neighbors gathering nearby. "Now, you're standing on private land." She stammered. "But we've used this lake for years." "Using and owning aren't the same thing." She sputtered some nonsense about calling the city, citing public interest. I smiled. "Cheryl, this isn't a freeway expansion. It's a pond. Eminent domain ain't gonna save your committee." By noon, I had people knocking on my door, some angry, some just curious. I explained everything calmly. "This was never yours. You've been lied to. And because of the harassment, the signs stay. You're not welcome here anymore." That afternoon, Cheryl called an emergency HOA meeting. They tried everything: injunctions, fake resolutions, threats. Barry shut it down with one letter: cease and desist, copy of the deed, and a polite note about potential defamation charges. But that was just phase one. See, I didn't just want to stop the HOA. I wanted to build something they could never touch again. That's how Liberty Lake Club was born. I filed the LLC, built a little dockside lodge, worked with a contractor named Nate Halper to put up a wooden fence and electronic gate. The website was clean and simple. Pricing fair. Veterans and first responders got free permits. Seniors got discounts. One line in bold print under the rules: HOA residents of Maple Ridge are permanently excluded. And boy, did that line burn. Applications poured in. Paddle boarders, campers, folks from nearby counties. We hosted a 4th of July Freedom Fest barbecue, music, kayak races, raised $2,000 for the local VFW. Meanwhile, Cheryl tried to organize a Reclaim Our Lake protest. Got maybe 7 people to show up. They were turned away at the gate by 2 retired Marines I'd hired for security. One neighbor took a selfie with the sign behind them and posted it on Facebook with the caption, "HOA Karma." But Cheryl wasn't done. She tried sabotage, slicing my canoe ropes, dumping eggs on my porch, even sugared the gas tank in my boat. That's when I installed cameras. Sure enough, caught her right-hand man, Doug Wallace, sneaking around my boathouse with bolt cutters. He got served a misdemeanor citation by the sheriff the next day. I printed stills from the footage and slipped them into every mailbox in the neighborhood. Caption read, "Private property means private rules. Cross the line, pay the fine." After that, Cheryl's credibility collapsed. Her allies peeled off. The HOA board voted her out in a meeting where no one seconded her final motion. An old-timer named Mr. Tully stood up and said, "We've been lied to, and we're paying the price." That night, Marcia from the board stopped by with a cupcake, blue frosting, no explanation. "Cheryl's resigning," she said. "Congrats." I didn't celebrate right away, because I wasn't done yet. A few weeks later, I installed one final sign, right where Cheryl used to launch her paddle boat. Private Lake Club. Members only. Maple Ridge HOA officials permanently banned. Enjoy the view from afar. It was brass-trimmed, dark oak, elegant, sharp, unmissable. Today, Liberty Lake Club is thriving. Kids bike by and wave. Veterans fish in peace. Locals respect the rules, because the rules make sense. Cheryl? She's a ghost now. Tried to start a nature society at a retention pond, but got into a yelling match with a city worker over mosquito fogging. Turns out, her power never came from rules. It came from people letting her believe she had them. The moment that ended, she was just another angry neighbor with a clipboard. Funny thing is, I never set out to own a lake. I just wanted to fish. But when someone tries to bully you out of the water, sometimes the only thing left to do is buy the whole damn lake and put up a pier that says, "No bullies allowed." What do you think? Was I right to push back? Or did I go too far? Let me know in the comments. And hey, if you've ever had your own run-in with a wild HOA, I want to hear it. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more true stories of justice served, one fishing pole at a time.